Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Feck here, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you today, ladies and gentlemen. We got UFC fighter Jackson McVey. Jackson McVey is going to come on, do some impressions of President Donald Trump, former governor of Minnesota, Jesse the Body Ventura, and a few other impressions like the MMA guru, and even impressions of myself, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Feck, 1 foot cock, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a new character on the show. And by the way, let me tell you something, people. By the way, that big fat guy, the MMA guru, he's got it coming, I'm telling you right now. I just seen his video of him talking about Joe Rogan. Okay? Tomorrow I'm going to do reaction videos to a couple MMA guru videos. I'm going to start doing reaction videos to the MMA gurus videos. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a new character on the show, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is right over here. Ladies and gentlemen, right here. Ladies and gentlemen, right here, we have Jim Bankoff. Now, Jim Bankoff is the owner of Vox Media. Vox Media owns SB Nation. SB Nation owns MMA fighting on SBN, ladies and gentlemen. That's the one that the Sewer King works for, a.k.a. Jose Youngs. So here's our new character, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have to get used to this guy right here. This one here is Jim Bankoff, ladies and gentlemen. You listening, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jim Bankoff to the program, ladies and gentlemen. You listening? Jim Bankoff, your employees are about ready to lose your YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, Mr. Jim Bankoff. Anybody who's in the chat, get in the chat. Somebody get on the show, ladies and gentlemen. We got Jackson McVey waiting backstage, ladies and gentlemen. Right here, our new character, Jim Bankoff, owns Vox. Listen to me. Jim Bankoff here owns Vox Media. Then there's Trei Brundrett. Trei Brundrett runs SB Nation. SB Nation runs MMA fighting on SBN, ladies and gentlemen. Trei, Trei, listen to me. You say report on stuff like as it's happening. Me, Simon Feck, I'm reporting on Jose Youngs, a.k.a. Sewer King, getting ready to take your channel down, your YouTube channel. You hear me? Trei Brundrett? Huh? This is Simon Feck, and I'm reporting on Jose Youngs. Like as it's happening, like how you report it. The Sewer King. The guy that sits in there with Dana White. The guy that's getting ready to start a YouTube channel because he's banned from YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody in the chat? Ladies and gentlemen, who's coming on the show? We got Jackson McVey waiting backstage, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let's talk about the MMA guru's depression. The MMA guru's depression, ladies and gentlemen. It's not anything to do with anything except Simon Feck. Yeah, myself. Simon Feck, 1 foot cock. The MMA guru is scared of Simon Feck, 1 foot cock, lady. So, we're in the studio. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. Simon's renting out the studio to a gentleman by the name of Stu Pitt. Stu Pitt. Stu Pitt's going to start doing reaction videos from the MMA Guru's catalog, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA Guru is depressed about that. He went on saying how depressed he is. He says that his millions of dollars doesn't help him out about his depression. It's not depression. It's called being scared, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA Guru had an unfair advantage at building his YouTube channel that nobody else got, ladies and gentlemen. And Stu Pitt is going to expose that, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like playing 5D chess, ladies and gentlemen. It's simple. It's called stealing, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, somebody's in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. That's the MMA holes, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA holes, ladies and gentlemen, teamed up with Simon Feck last week. UFC 317, ladies and gentlemen. The MMA holes brought in 1 million views. Simon Feck contributed to exactly 0 views. Combined together, we did a Guinness Book of World Record last week. 1 million views, ladies and gentlemen. You can't see it right here. The MMA holes, but right over here, we have Joe Rogan, the Sewer King, and Moss from the MMA holes right here. Here's the spoiler too, ladies and gentlemen. It's around August 21st or 22nd. I, Simon Feck, am going on the MMA holes channel live stream in person in Moss's house, ladies and gentlemen, upstairs in the studio, ladies and gentlemen. That's like August 21st, 22nd, 23rd, or something like that, ladies and gentlemen. Be looking out for that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, UFC fighter, Mr. Impersonator himself, Jackson McVey, ladies and gentlemen. He's 2-0 in the UFC. Is he here? Is he here? There he is, ladies and gentlemen. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. McVey, how you doing, Jackson McVey? How you doing, Jackson McVey? Hey, do we have the audio? Hey, do we have the audio? Listen. At least we got Jim Bankoff here from Vox Media.